I'll go.
Go ahead, Will.
Looked like everybody was out there today. Any changes in availability?
No, everybody's fighting fit, which is good. Yeah.
Do you feel like Jamie still another week on him visa-wise?
Yeah, I think Jamie may be going abroad to go and get his visa in the next 48 hours, so that'll be good for him, but he's working really hard to get to full fitness, and he's looking good in training so far.
What did Pep show you in his first 29 minutes, and what has he shown you in training since then, now that he's had a full week?
He showed me he's capable with the ball, he understands the game really well, takes up really good positions, his touch, his technical ability, he's that of a top class player, so I expect more to come from him as he gets to understand us and our players get to understand him as well, and he's been training well as well.
How comfortable would you be starting him this weekend?
I'd be comfortable, yeah. I don't feel that he's not ready to start. In the 30 minutes he showed me he was comfortable. I wasn't there for Monday's training, but he showed me in training so far that he's been really good.
Well, how does that tactically change, without revealing too much to the opposition? How does that change what you do? Because you've had three midfielders who've kind of played almost interchanged. Does that mean you have him sit a little bit higher? How does that transform your midfield?
I think he's a player who's going to find pockets of space, who can turn very quickly, as we saw in the 30 minutes he played, and play forward quickly as well. So, he's going to get into positions higher up the pitch for us where we want him to be. And it's not going to change too much of what we do. He can play as a 10, he can play as an 8, but he's just very clever at finding the ball.
In terms of what you want to see offensively in open play, how much does kind of getting that rhythm back help you try and find some of the missed chances that you haven't converted?
Yeah, the rhythm's a big thing. I didn't think we supported the ball going forward as quickly as we should have done on Saturday. It wasn't one of our better performances going forward. I thought we built up really well. A team that comes to pressure at times, I thought we played through that okay. But then the last connection wasn't quite right. I don't think we got the numbers. You look at the good chances that we had in the second half where we got in and around the penalty box, and we only had 2 or 3 players in the penalty box, and that was a lack of communication, and that's been communicated to the players this week.
How much of an impact have you seen Tim have from a leadership standpoint?
From a leadership standpoint, yeah, outstanding individual. We knew he was a good person coming into here, vocal, interested in the game, understands the game, but passes on and imparts his knowledge to others as well, which is what we wanted.
2.5 months since you played Atlanta, they've undergone some changes. What do you feel like they can still be hurtful on an opposition side, and how do you approach this going in?
Yeah, I thought they gave us problems first 30 minutes at their place, to be honest, especially on transitions and breakdowns. They break really quickly, and we got caught out a couple of times against Red Bull with that as well. So that's something that we'll have to be concerned about.
So, are you saying like some of those situations on Saturday where they turned the ball over right as they got in the box? Are you saying that wasn't the right pass to get to them at that point? Like they were well covered?
Yeah, no, we never committed enough players forward. I felt when we advanced down one side, I thought our fullbacks stayed a little bit too deep, and we're worried about the counter attack where that should be their opportunity to go and join in. With the offensive players, and then we never got enough players. We spoke about getting our opposite 8 into the penalty box, and we never done that enough. So, when you're crossing the ball into the penalty box and you've got a 6v2 against you, the odds tell you that it's going to be tough to score and create big chances.
It seems like soccer, as much as any sport, is so dependent on feel and players getting to know each other. You don't have a whole lot of time for that with a bunch of new players. You just hope for the best. And
yeah, no. I mean, tactically, there's lots of work that you can do. You're looking to create overloads in areas of the pitch, so you try and get 3 or 4 passes in one area of the pitch to draw them in and then switch play, so you can create an overload on the other side of the pitch, and that's what we've been doing or trying to do. And at times I didn't feel we quite did that on Saturday.
We were talking to Pep the other day, and he said he had about 4 or 5 hours to make this decision. Did he get a phone call with you during that 4 or 5 hours, or was it just Zoran and Bobby?
No, it was just Zoran and Bobby. I think it was a very quick decision for all at the time. As I said, he'd been on our radar, so we knew an awful lot about him. I got a phone call to say that this could happen. What are your thoughts? So I went over our notes that we had on him as a player, spoke to people who've worked with him before as well to find out what sort of guy he was as well, and we were happy to have him here.
What sort of guy did they say he was?
I spoke to the people who took him into Copenhagen at first and who worked with him, and it took him a little bit while to settle there, but that was his first time outside of Spain, and then he became their best player. But they said really good individual, really good player. Spoke very little English when he first left, but you can see now he can hold a conversation in English and do that really well. So in terms of character, he was the sort that we'd want.
You said you met his parents. You're sure then you're going to take care of him.
Yeah, and I think we have to do that, and I think that's got to be part of the culture at this club to entice players to want to come here as well. As I said during the window, we were very ambitious in some of our moves, and we have to make sure that the culture's right for some of these real big players to come here.
Jamie Patterson told us you were about the same, but you just looked a little older.
I'm not going to say that about him, because hopefully he's better. There's a few more grey strands in the hair, I suppose. Yeah, 5 or 6 of them from working with him, I think.
Is he a similar style player as some of the guys you have? Like, how would you characterize his game?
Yeah, no, he's a clever footballer. He's a technical player. He wants to get on the ball. He can twist and turn. Scores lots of different goals, but he can create goals as well. So he's a great addition, and he's got a really good personality as well. So he'll be liked within the dressing room, but he'll also push people in the dressing room as well. Because if standards drop, he won't be afraid to tell people.
And finally, I know you got a young guy in Andrew Privet. You want to take care of his mentality, and there's probably a hard conversation you had in there last week. What did you tell him?
Yeah, no, I'd spoke to him how well he'd done, and we still think highly of him. It was a tough decision to make. I felt probably the previous 4 games that there was probably one mistake in each game that Andrew had made that he hadn't previously. So, I just felt it might be the right time to bring him out anyway. And we've got now the quality of Tim, and I think it will be good competition for Andrew. He signed a new contract. He's done exceptionally well, and he'll continue to grow. Thanks.
Having that conversation with Privet and knowing that if you're sitting him down to play guys that have that kind of experience. Blessing in disguise for him to be able to learn with his eyes as opposed to trying to be out there and figure it out, because he is a young player.
Yeah, he is a young player, and he's done unbelievable this season already. He'll learn from Tim. There'll be times where he'll play with Tim as well, and there'll be times when he'll be back in playing with Addy. But my job here is not to be liked; it's to create winning teams, and I just feel at the moment, or certainly on Saturday just gone, that was the best way to go.
You talked about the technical aspects of what you saw on Saturday when you reviewed the game. Mm-hmm. Just kind of the overarching, when you looked at it back, and not necessarily players not in the box, whatever. Did you kind of get a sense that there was a little bit of rust? There was the long layoff. I mean, was there anything that was kind of like the umbrella over top of everything?
I thought our standards weren't anywhere near where they should be, and I told the players that afterwards. It wasn't one of our better games, that's for sure. I don't think we connected the ball well enough, and sometimes it happens like that. I look at the game and 5 or 6 individuals were 5 out of 10s, and that's not good enough if you're going to win a game, and that's half your team. And that was nothing tactical. That was just players just having a bad game, and they've got to get that bad game out of the systems, because, as I've said, I want to go the rest of the season unbeaten.
And leads me to the next question: is the fact that with 8 left and you're jockeying for position now, is the message it's 3 points every time we hit the field, or I mean, what is kind of...
No.
I know you don't want it at a time. That's the
Yeah.
hard part, balancing that.
Yeah, no, our ambition is to go into each game and go and get 3 points. I think Red Bull were above us, Miami are above us. I don't think any of the other teams that were playing are above us in the table. But that's not saying that they're easier games, because anybody can beat anybody in this league, as it's been proven. But we've got to make sure that our mentality is going into each game that we play to the best of our ability. I accept mistakes, they happen in games, but I wasn't happy with some of the body language I saw for the last 20 minutes, where I think we got frustrated.
Well, does, kind of going off of what you just said there, does it almost feel like the playoffs have started in a way, because you're playing so many teams who are trying to catch you?
Well, I've put it on the players that this is the business end of the season, and I'm not here to be liked, especially at this top part of the season. I'm here to win football games and get into them playoffs as high as we can, and then go and compete in the playoffs against teams who have competed against really well already this season. But we have to go on into each game, accepting that we've got to go and give our best. And I don't think, and these are an honest group, but maybe it became infectious. There was a couple of mistakes made, and then people get frustrated and take their mind off their role rather than doing their own job, because that's what they're in control of.
You've made very clear about leaving the sporting department stuff to Zoran and his crew, but what is deadline day like when you're going after a player who, albeit on your radar, you don't have a lot of lead time? What was that like for you? And have there been other experiences like that for you, where you've had to kind of bring in a player on deadline day with really only 5-6 hours lead time like that?
For me, it's fine. I'm not flustered. I can, if I've got time, I can go and hit a few golf balls. If I haven't got time, go and have a bite to eat. But make sure that my lines of communication are open for Zoran and Bobby, who are doing all the work.
Cool. Anything else?
I got one here.
Yeah, go again.
Hey, Dean.
Hi.
So this is the last home game before we have 2 on the road here. Any message to the fans about showing up this weekend and then the derby match?
Yeah, I mean, I've said to you before, derby matches are 4 hours away aren't really my cup of tea, to be honest. A little bit closer, but I understand where I am now and the distance involved. And I know how much of a win it was. We took 2,500-3,000 there to Atlanta, and it was a great day. But we've got to be good, and we need our supporters to help us. I thought our supporters were the reason why we ended up walking away with a point on Saturday rather than defeat. So we'll need them again, and it will be a better performance from us against Atlanta. It needs to be.
Great, thanks so much.
Cheers. Thank you.
Okay, Mike, go ahead.
It's rare, but today you've mentioned twice in responses that you're not here to be liked. You got grumpy players at this point? Are there guys that are not?
No.
I mean,
Grumpy coach.
Yeah.
I mean, grumpy coach I get, but
Yeah, no, I think, we've been building, or I've been building to this point. You have a break for the Leagues Cup, and our job is to get into a certain position and then to push now. And, what I've been doing is working with them tactically as a team. And I've seen the standards they've set now, so I know what they can do. So my foot now is on their throats, making sure they continue to do that now. And if they don't, they come out and other players go in.
Anything else in the room? Okay, I got Steve Goldberg on the Zoom. Steve, go ahead.
Hello, Dean.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, with the international call-ups coming up at this time, and losing Carroll and Yeri, how big an impact is that going to have in this critical time?
Not really any impact, to be honest, Steve, because there's no game next weekend, so it is an international break for all. I think Finland play England actually at Wembley. So they'll go away with their teams and come back, and Carroll will need some minutes, so hopefully he gets the minutes with Poland. Has Tim been called up with America? I don't know.
Officially, yeah.
No. Yeah. So there are a few that could get called up. Excuse me, but No, I don't think it will affect us at all, Steve.
Do you have an opinion on having another international break this close after the summer when, not just for MLS, but, well, not as much for MLS, but especially for Europe, where these players are exhausted still from last season?
Yeah, it's a tough one because the Euros finished and then the Premier League season starts. You know, I was looking at Ollie Watkins and, you know, he was playing in the semi-finals and then doesn't really do a pre-season and then gets an hour in the first 2 games for Villa. And it's tough for the European players. So to then go into an international period is tough. But it is what it is. You can't do nothing about it. You have to play these international games. You know, the calendar does certainly need looking at from all aspects, to be honest. So, you know, because I think the players are starting to play too many games too long. You know, I know it's a short career, but, you know, some of these international players only get a week's break or 2 weeks break, and it's not enough for them.
And in a recent article, Zoran had mentioned a conversation he had with Luka Modric when Real Madrid was training here, and actually extended an invitation for him to perhaps think about coming to Charlotte. Luka responded that, you know, it's very hard to leave Madrid, so
Wonder why.
Would it help that Charlotte if we had better Spanish cuisine?
Oh, what a player he is, yeah. He's a player that I think can peel oranges with his toes. He's that good. Very good footballer. But yeah, I mean, getting players like that is only a dream, I suppose.
So, but if you got here, you think you could find a place for him?
I think he'd find a place for himself.
Okay, but things like that, when you have getting the word of mouth from the European players who have been here and experienced and talking back to their mates and stuff back in England and on the continent and such, and Real Madrid being here and seeing the size of the stadium, the quality of the facilities here, is that something that you believe will help sell this club?
Yeah, definitely. The fact that so many Premier League teams come over as well, and European teams come over and play during their pre-season breaks, it can only boost you know what they see with the facilities and the stadiums they're playing in. So you know, I've chatted with a lot of players, you know, Premier League players now and top players who, you know, are looking at, you know, the possibility of going over to America. So, you know, that can only be good for the MLS.
And does that actually help compete against, you know, the leisure spots like, you know, and the destinations like New York and Los Angeles and Miami, when you're competing also against them for some of this talent?
Yeah, I think everybody knows that there's, you know, a lot of players like to be in cities like Los Angeles and New York. I'm not one of them. I'm one who would certainly like to be in Charlotte, and you know, I'll probably get a job with a tourist guide after I've finished as the head coach here for Charlotte because it's such a good city.
Well, they actually have those, one of the orange shirts downtown. We're sure we can get you one.
Thanks, mate.
So, thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks, Steve. Final call.
Did Jamie introduce you to the U.S.? I mean, or had you guys come as a family to visit?
Yeah, no, we've got family who live in Jersey. I've been here 24 years. So we've been coming over to America for quite a while. My cousin was in Vegas for 20 odd years as well. He was he worked for Cirque du Soleil, and he's a coach now for Cirque du Soleil as well. So he was sports acrobat, and he was a tumbling champion for Great Britain, and ended up coming and working for Cirque du Soleil in the O in the Bellagio for 18 years.
So all the talent went to that side?
Yeah, all the talent went to that side, and the looks went to this side.
Of course. What's his name?
Craig Paul Smith.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your family in New Jersey, were they here for work or?
Yeah, no, they came over for work as well. So yeah, they come down and watch a lot of the games as well.
Awesome. Also, we saw Leo Lovato put out his little wedding save the date, and I saw it was November, in the middle of a week that, you know, there's a semifinal playoff game. So did you guys have to have a conversation?
We've had that conversation, yeah, and it won't interfere with a playoff game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just Don't go far on the honeymoon.
Yeah, no, I'll be invited to the wedding. I'll bring you straight back.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
All right,
No
anyone
worries.
else?